What's good? What's good? Kaz back again, as promised. Sorry for being MIA for a couple days. I was not feeling well over the weekend, but as always, I always make it back, and we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of news coming out of the DCU. If you haven't been following it, they just made some major announcements, and as I was getting set up here, but we got a new video from James Gunn, which I want to drop or watch live with you guys on top of covering a lot of the other news that just came out, talking about his new Superman project, the Matt Reeves Batman project, and everything like that that's coming out in the next few years. And like I said, appreciate you guys coming through as always. This is a super impromptu stream, but I just wanted to hang out for a bit and cover it live, chill out with you guys. So if you guys can do me a favor and drop a like, that definitely helps support the stream, help kind of get it pushed out there a little bit, and we can go live with this right about now. Let me make sure we got good volume. We good, and here we go.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. Okay. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different. I know about a handful of those characters. We're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action. The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
Very interesting they use that picture.
The next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan.
Let's go.
We have a few other lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth.
That's big brain.
They discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority
what's good, everybody?
A group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman.
Bro.
It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants.
What's good, guys? I'll do some shout outs once we wrap up with this video. It's just a couple minutes.
Is the brave and the bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents. Whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally
they made some announcements, Greek.
DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
Bro. All right, Chad, what's the general consensus? Did he cook? Is DC cooking right now? Like, what are we feeling? What are we feeling?
Hey, everybody. I'm James Gunn.
Okay.
I'm the...
So we can go back through that in a minute. How we feeling about a lot of those announcements? You know, we got a new Superman project coming out. We got Batman Brave and the Bold. You got 2 Green Lantern projects coming out. And they have a lot going on. They literally have a lot going on right now. Let me try to get back to some of those main announcements. There we go. Hollywood Handle. So the Superman reboot is officially coming out in 2025. Bad Boys 4 officially in the works now. It's funny, I've recently just been watching those movies literally like a day or two ago. But man, I know a lot of people are on the fence about James Gunn's vision for the DCU, especially after the firing of Henry Cavill. But I don't know. I feel like you literally have to give him a chance at this point. Like they seem to have a strong understanding of what this universe needs at this point. So it's like setting up Shazam to kind of tie into Flash, which is going to reboot everything. It's like, all right, we're going to wrap up these last few projects and then keep it moving into the bigger and brighter. You got Swamp Thing going out there, especially seeing how well Man Thing did and Werewolf by Night. Is like I had to believe that Swamp Thing was going to be a part of their future. Even though his project got canceled recently, I had to believe they were going to do something a little bigger than that with him in the future, because there's opportunity there, and it's like I'm glad to see that. Finally, they realized what they got on their hands with Amanda Waller being played by Viola Davis, so they're gonna green light projects with that. That's dope. But as I said, like I'm gonna pause on this for 1 second and do some shout outs because I appreciate everybody coming out. Tyson, Black Nito, Hego, Greek of course, Black Goo Bangin, Reginald Haynes, Ben. Who else we got? Missy Star Rose, how you doing? Appreciate you coming through. Scott Preacher Man, what's up? You guys, forgive me if my voice is cracking. I've been a little bit out of it the past few days, but we're bouncing back. I'm hoping they sunset Ezra Miller as the Flash. I don't know. I don't know. It's that's tough, and we literally don't know what's going on with that man or why they've been keeping him around. Supergirl movie, Woman of Tomorrow is in the works. They are swinging for the fistings, bro. Batman the Brave and the Bold. I was not expecting anything like that. Excuse me. Literally wasn't expecting anything like that. And it's a full-fledged movie, and that's crazy. And they're also still sticking with the Matt Reeves Batman. It's crazy. Paradise Lost, bro. They're trying to tap into every genre, but yeah, the Authority. This was really interesting to me because it's like this definitely feels like a James Gunn project. Like, let me know in the chat if you agree, but this definitely feels like something James Gunn jumped at the mere mention of it, and just the opportunity to have something like that in there. What's up, Blake Nito? Shout out to you, bro. What's up, Craig? What's up, Mistress Maleficent? My fault. Creature Commando. So, like I said, when we was catching it live, is I only really know a handful of these people, but he's definitely trying to take some of that Marvel strategy with just kind of branching out with some of the weirder weirder lineups that DC has in their back pocket. But Hal Jordan and John Stewart are definitely some of the bigger names coming out of these project listings. But Booster Gold getting something that's surprising, bro. Like, I love Booster Gold. Like, ever since my first introduction to him was in the Death for Superman, and anything I've seen him in since then is like I've always been happy to see him. Just somebody I love to see hop around. But the fact that he's getting a little bit of shine in this new DCU is crazy. Matt Reeves Batman Part 2 coming out 2025. That's crazy. I was hoping to see something from him a little sooner. So I was hoping for maybe something 2024. Maybe they start filming in 2023. But that's at least he's still in the works. I have no idea where they go from the first story outside of kind of sticking with Batman and Catwoman, obviously. But like, as far as villains, I know they set up and teased the Joker, but it's like I don't know if they're really fully ready to push go on that. I heard some more fantastical names thrown around, but Aquaman 2, I believe he said that's coming following The Flash. So that's going to be coming out after The Flash. So how exactly that works is going to be interesting. James Gunn calls The Flash one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Full trailer drops in 12 days. How are we feeling about the Flash movie at this point? Like, we literally got Ezra Miller, who's a terrorist at this point, but he's still in the DCU, and he's believably a part of their future plan. So it's like that whole thing is just crazy. Like, this is crazy. Like, they literally just hit us over the head with a lot of stuff. Right, I'm trying to get back to James Gunn initial announcement.
Everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm
the Aquaman news.
Hey, I'm James Gunn.
I believe it was somewhere
July
here.
11th, 2025. Now, what I'm about to tell you is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
Appreciate that,
mistress. The first project
mistress.
is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action. The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into
Like I said, it's very interesting
July
that he
11th,
used this image of
2025.
Superman.
Okay, the next
That's
thing is
very
a big
telling.
premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is
So, quick question before we move forward. How do you guys feel about the Green Lanterns starting off on TV? So it's live action, but it's on TV. How are we feeling about that? You guys feel like they were deserving of a movie, or do you think starting off on TV is the right way to go and expand that into a movie based on reception, I guess?
terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story.
You hoping to see Dexter?
Next is a big
I'm pretty
movie
sure they're gonna
called
go crazy.
The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the
Interesting
DCU's
way to describe that.
Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne.
So this version of Batman is going to be introduced with a Robin already, and it's going to be his son, which is an interesting choice. So it's like, how does that set up everyone else? Are they rolling over people from other projects or something like that? What is the game plan with that? But to start him off with a Robin already established, that's a different take, especially for this current DCU, and that's interesting. How are we feeling about that one?
This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's
That's a good point, Paul.
Assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series.
Appreciate that,
Booster
mistress.
Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to
Dark
talk about.
Supergirl.
A very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved
So from the sounds of it, it sounds like they're definitely going to stick with the more serious tone of the DCU, just probably with a lot better writing going forward. Like a lot of the writing we gotten from DC projects thus far has been spotty at best and not great, in most people's opinion. But it looks like they want to maintain that tone, so it's like they're going with a lot of darker stories, like choosing Damian as the first Robin in the DC universe, darker, edgier Robin. That's very telling of the kind of tone you're trying to go for. So it's like I'm not expecting Batman to flat out be killing people or anything like that, but a more serious, grounded Batman, that has to incorporate, some of the dark nature of his son, who was raised as an assassin, is like that's telling a darker, more jaded version of Supergirl than most people are familiar with. You got the Authority, which sounds like they are definitely going to be towing the line, morally. A lot of more gray areas are going to be explored in that show from the sounds of it. Swamp Thing, that's probably going to be pretty dark. So it's like, I feel like he gets it. He understands that fans were very high on the more serious tone of the DCU in comparison to the Marvel movies, where, a lot of serious moments are kind of broken up with jokes. A lot of them can be, described as ill-timed jokes. So it's like he understands what's working for the DC, and he understands where they need to improve. They're definitely going to be taking advantage of the TV, side of things. So it's like you got a Paradise Lost project, you got Booster Gold, you got the Green Lantern projects that's coming up. I was trying to find out what he was saying about Aquaman specifically, so I'm gonna roll back
I'm
to
the
this point.
co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story.
A bit of both,
and
new gamer.
if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well.
So
that
that's
moves
it for
directly
Shazam.
into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So, Peter and I, along with...
So interesting that he only described Blue Beetle as being a part of the DCU. He didn't say much about Aquaman 2. He definitely didn't say it's going to be a part of the future plans for the DCU. Flash is going to be rebooting a lot of things, so that's going to be integral, but he wasn't specific about anything about how that Flash movie is going to fare in the new DCU, and Shazam obviously is going to be written out of things via the Flash movie. So it's like very interesting word in there, and again it's like this is crazy, bro. Like this is really crazy. Let's see. Get back to some of the more recent reveals. Hollywood Handle. Let's see if we got anything new in the past few minutes. DC properties not connected to the DCU will be referred to as DC Elseworlds. Those properties include Joker, Folie à Deux, the Batman Part 2, the Penguin, Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Superman project. So that's still a thing. That's interesting. That's with all of the cuts and reboots and all of that stuff. I thought something like that probably would have got put on the chopping block for budget reasons or something like that. But it's still going to be in the works. But they have a defined space for that kind of stuff at this point, which is definitely needed because it's like you just don't know what's going on over there. I forgot Penguin was getting this show. Yeah, like I said, they're trying to keep certain projects in the focus and get some structure. They definitely needed structure, and it seems like that's one of the biggest focuses going forward. So we're letting you know what's coming up. So Amanda Waller is going to be on TV. Swamp Thing getting a full-fledged movie that's interesting. That is an interesting direction. Supergirl getting a movie. The Lanterns getting on TV is like that feels like we want to feel the waters. Like we want to see how people take to this before committing to a full-blown, major movie production with that specific property. And it's like, I think it's probably still just cold feet after how the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern performed. So it's like, that's interesting. This is interesting, especially with it being a full-fledged movie. Like this just feels like so many different things. Like this feels like a bit of Watchmen. This feels like a bit of the Eternals, like something just completely out of left field that nobody's really probably familiar with, that you have a complete opportunity to make your own. And the fact that there's going to be a movie, again, it speaks a lot to what the new vision is over there. So it's like the choice between what projects are being shipped to TV and which ones are full-fledged movies is interesting. Let me see. James Gunn talks about Zachary Levi's anti-vax tweet. Actors and filmmakers that I work with are going to say things that I agree with and things that I don't agree with. That's a pretty neutral stance to take on that. Well played. Booster Gold. That's man. Obviously, the biggest thing coming out of the DCU right now, which I'm trying to find it, is the Superman Legacy project. So obviously, a lot of eyes are going to be on who's casted. Who are they going to cast to replace Henry Cavill at this point? He's already spoken about wanting to go younger in that direction, so it's like that's definitely going to be a thing. And they're obviously going for someone who, fits the mold of their new vision for Superman. I think they're trying to get back to the basics in a lot of regards. Like I said, I'm on board with it, but I know I know it's going to be met with just a ton of interesting, conversation whenever they do make an official reveal for Superman or the new Superman, because a lot of the Snyder fans are still holding out for Henry Cavill and hoping they can kind of just demand that they go back to the old status quo in some sense, and it's like that's not going to happen. So if we can't get our way, I feel like a lot of people are just going to be overly negative about whatever new is coming out just to kind of take the piss out of whatever announcements are revealed. Like I said, interesting that they threw Bad Boys in there. That's an interesting one. Make Superman light, not dark, and I think that's what they understand, and I think that's what they want to get back to. So it's like Henry Cavill is like I don't know. I don't know what. No, maybe they just didn't. He probably just doesn't fit what they're looking for. He has not Henry Cavill. James Gunn has mentioned that he's open to, leaving the door open to have him play like a older Superman at some point, or finding another role for him as Superman at some point. They are. He alluded to wanting to have Jason Momoa come back as Lobo. So after Aquaman 2, we may see that story wrapped up, and then we kind of go in a different direction from there. So you may see a different take on Aquaman at some point, and you see Jason Momoa return as Lobo. So you can see Henry Cavill return as somebody else. It's like the door is still kind of open on the back end for that side, but it's like I said, a lot of interesting choices being made, a lot of interesting announcements. This is the one to watch for. Matt Reeves' Batman. I feel like we pretty much know what we can expect from that. Like he really showed that he has a solid understanding of what he wants to do with his version of Batman and that specific genre that he's going for. DC TV is going to be must watch for a while. Hopefully, well, it depends. It depends on which one of these shows hits the market first. That'll set the tone of the quality of writing and production that everyone should expect from some of these other shows. So that's going to be interesting to look out for. But let me see. Did they announce any movies ahead of 2025 that like anything that wasn't already in production? Because I know the Flash, Shazam, and Aquaman, those are already ready to roll out, and the Batman Brave and the Bold, and Superman are slated for 2025. So I don't know what their 2024 lineup would be outside of probably TV shows. Well, the Joker movie is going to be rolling out probably 2025 as well. It's an interesting lineup. How you guys feeling about Supergirl? Yeah, Shazam and all of that stuff is already in the mix, so it's like we already have trailers for that that's coming. But any of the new DCU stuff that's not already in the pipeline, like I would imagine they would want to get something out for 2024. That's possibly a major motion release. But they might just go hard with TV in 2024, I guess. But yeah, Supergirl, Green Lantern, Booster Gold, solid lineup. Let's see if we got anything new. Yep, that's about it. Well, like I said, this is super impromptu. I saw the news and I was like, let me cobble together a quick live stream real quick, just to touch base on a lot of this stuff and start, because it's like this is what I'm most excited for. everything sounds great. Everything they announced sounds at the very least very, very interesting. Batman the Brave and the Bold with Damian as his Robin, that's super intriguing because it's like I just want to I want to see who's cast as Batman. Like I have some ideas of who I would like to see as a DC Universe Batman. Um, like I maintain that someone like John Hamm should definitely be in the running for Batman. It's like he just has the look. Like I don't know how he'll perform as far as like action stunts and everything like that, but as far as like having the look and screen presence for Bruce Wayne, I believe he can absolutely kill that part of it. And with just weight training and choreography, I feel like he can do a convincing Batman as well. If if Robert Pattinson can pull off a Batman, a very solid Batman, I feel like John Hamm can definitely do the same, if not better. Finally, we are seeing Damian Wayne. Finally, we're seeing some kind of Robin that's not restricted to DC TV or just the old movies. Like, have we had yeah, we have the closest we've gotten was Joseph Gordon-Levitt in Dark Knight Rises, but it was like I don't really count that as Robin. Like they just kind of shoehorned that in there from the feel of it. Yeah, these announcements were wow. Let me see. Let me catch up on chat. Peacemaker has the green light. I didn't catch the Peacemaker show. I need to sit down and make some time to watch that. When that came out, I was super busy around that time, so it's like I still haven't just sat down and got back to that. But definitely a lot of people were really high on Peacemaker, so I can see more of the same or more of him in some capacity. It's like it's weird because of how things were handled with the Suicide Squad movie, but you never know. And with the Flash, rebooting the universe, you literally never know what they have in the pipeline at this point. What's up, Trayvon? How you doing? Appreciate you coming through. If Jason Momoa isn't returning as Aquaman, the hope is they give his character a good ending in the Lost Kingdom. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to be doing with like Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2. I think they're just going to be wrapping those stories up and kind of tying them into the Flash movie so that they can, reboot all of that nice, clean, and easy and go for it in a new direction. And then, projects like Blue Beetle will be the next big thing. Blue Beetle, is that slated to come out this year or next year? Can't remember off the top of my head. Peacemaker, definitely my favorite DC show right now. I can feel it. What would you give it out of 10? What would you rate it out of 10? Sick. Some vibes going. Suicide Squad 2 is 6 out of 10. I can feel it. Yeah, it was better written than the first one, but it's like the characters were a lot better written, but the story overall is like I wasn't overly invested in it, and it's like I don't care. Bloodsport was cool though, but I also liked Will Smith version of Deadshot for the most part. But they definitely have room to improve. Have you seen Titans or Doom Patrol? I watched the first 2 seasons of Titans, and I watched a little bit of season 3. When I saw that they were kind of just rushing and bursting through the Red Hood storyline setup and all that stuff, it was like, okay, this just isn't for me. Like, this isn't what I'm looking for from this. Like, I'm in love with the Red Hood story, but I'm not that down bad for it to where I'm watching it just get rushed through like that. But my standards for TV is a little higher. Like I kind of hold TV to the same standard as a movie. Like I know, like budget, wise, you kind of have some shortcuts that you got to take, but story writing is like we can take our time with some stuff, when we're setting up a proper story. And I wasn't feeling like that was what was happening in season 3 for that. What was that? Doom Patrol. I saw a couple episodes, and like I said, I was super busy with work around that time, so it's like I literally just never had the time to get back into it. Some candidates for Booster Gold: Andy Samberg, John Krasinski, Bill Hader, Owen Wilson, Bradley Cooper. I feel like all of those people are probably too big for a TV project like that at this point in their careers, with the exception of probably Andy Samberg. He would probably be the most likely choice out of those people you just listed. But, anything is possible, I guess. Ben as Batman, you trying to keep Ben Affleck as Batman? So Ben Affleck is Batman in Batman Brave and the Bold. I haven't heard anything definitive about Ben Affleck's fate in the DCU, so possible. I give Doom Patrol an 8 out of 10. I feel it. We got a 7 out of 10 for Doom Patrol. Or was that for Peacemaker? Okay, 7 out of 10 for Peacemaker, 8.5. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people were high on Peacemaker. A lot of people. On the series version he portrayed at first, got you. Let's see if they got any more news really rolling out. Because they had a lot roll out really quick. First poster for Fast X has been released. Do you guys watch these movies? Like are we invested in the Fast and the Furious universe at this point? Who's still watching those movies? It's crazy how successful they've been, especially like with all the different places they've taken the story. But like, what was that back in the early 2000s? Watching like Fast and the Furious 2 is like I never saw. Like, what was that? I forgot that guy's name. By the time they got to like Tokyo Drift, I thought the franchise was done, and then they just made a hell of a comeback, and they've been going ever since. It's like at this point, just cross them over with like Transformers or something. Let Dom ride around with Bumblebee and Optimus Prime or something like that. It's like the universe is crazy enough for something like that to happen at this point. So everybody in Fast and the Furious is just driving around in Autobots fighting Decepticons and all of that stuff. Wish they would bring Deathstroke and Arrow to the universe also. Yeah, they did people dirty with the Deathstroke stuff in DCU. But it's like that's the consequence of poor planning. They were just throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks, and trying to get people excited. And like excitement is all you need. And it's like, yeah, people are fans of this stuff and they want it, but you still got to do it right. You can't just sloppily throw a whole universe together and rush projects and all of that stuff and expect people to rock with that. It's like that's not how that go. Honestly, they should have stopped after Paul died. I mean, they saw opportunity to keep going, and you kind of deviated or pivoted the story away from him a little bit enough to the point where it's like everybody on board feels comfortable moving forward. So it's like, as long as you're not exploiting his death or anything like that, it's like, I get it. Like using one of his brothers to kind of close out his narrative, I felt like that was as tasteful as they can do. Any thoughts on Lex being in Superman Legacy? I'm pretty sure he's going to be somewhat either introduced or a main part of that in some capacity. Thanos would be a god, Luthor. You want Thanos. Josh Brolin as Lex Luthor. I feel like there's a ton of people you can use as a good Lex Luthor. Like I feel like, a couple of years ago, like Billy Zane probably would have been a good Lex Luthor. Like that dude is just like the perfect blend of just like swarmy evil. Like I can see him doing all kind of stuff as a Lex Luthor, but at this point, you probably got some bigger names you can go for, or more recent relevant names. Probably find somebody who most people wouldn't think of as a Lex Luthor, but he's willing to go bald for the role. So it's like, something like that. I think they're going to be very, very strategic with the casting choices they make going forward. Willem Dafoe seems like the perfect Joker. Yeah, he on paper, like he's absolutely, like you just dial up whatever he did as the Green Goblin to like 11, and that's your Joker. But it's like, what project do you cast him in? So it's like, is he going to be the new Joker going forward? So you got Joaquin Phoenix as the Elseworld Joker, and then you bring in Willem Dafoe as the main Joker. Are there any other choices you can think of for Joker at this point? Vin for Lex? Absolutely not. Vin Diesel just like he can do a lot of things. He can't sell me on the idea that he's the smartest man in the world though. Like, you'll never be able to convince me of that. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they can find some projects for him. I don't think Lex is the project for that. You will never convince me that Vin Diesel is smart enough to outsmart Batman or anything like that. It's like, that would be getting off to the wrong foot, and I don't think they want to do that. Don't say that to... Hey, being the smartest man in the world is not his role in those movies. like I said, he could do a lot of things. I'll accept you flying across bridges and cars and not dying or injuring yourself horribly, but I will not accept you being the smartest person in any universe. It just isn't gonna happen. Gus Fringe as Lex. Gus Fringe. Fring. I'm unfamiliar with him. What about Jason? Jason who? I love for Willem to be the Joker in the Batman universe. I feel it. Breaking Bad. Okay, I know who you're talking about now. I know who you're talking about. They trying to get him in Marvel. He's supposed to be like Magneto or Professor X or somebody at this point. So it's like, I doubt they're gonna let him, come work for James Gunn and help elevate their universe, who's trying to be a direct competitor now, and they literally have a legitimate chance at this point because you have someone coming on board who knows exactly how Marvel works. Like he understands the infrastructure to the point where he can probably replicate that very effectively for DC. Like I see what works for you. I see what's not working for you. I see what you've been doing wrong, and now because I have experience with what works, here we go. And it's like, hey, Jason Statham as who? Lex Luthor? Again, that's not somebody you'll ever convince me is the smartest man in the world. Like, you can convince me he's dangerous. You won't convince me he's the smartest person, though. It's like, nah, I'm not buying it. I will not accept that. Pause. What are we pausing for? Truthfully, Marvel is going to be winning the next 4 to 8 years, to be honest. Oh, no. I feel like the door is, if there ever was an opportunity for DC to kind of step in and really establish themselves, this weird spot that Marvel is in right now is the perfect opportunity for that, because you got a lot of projects wrapping up. So you like the Guardians, they're done. Thor is floating in he's in between projects right now. Like, they don't really have a clear direction for his franchise at this point. Spider-Man is in the wild. We don't really know what's going on with those projects next. They don't really have a flagship hero. Like, you got the Falcon and the Falcon Captain America movie coming up, and they're in the process of establishing the next phase. So it's like, your background is solid, but it's like your work since Endgame is questionable, especially your TV stuff. The stuff they did with Disney Plus, that's questionable, and it's like, where do you go from here? And DC, they're on the come up. Like, if you land this, everything is really riding on Superman for the most part, but you've kind of cushioned yourself with some of these other lineups. So Swamp Thing, this could be a major success. Amanda Waller, you got Viola Davis, getting an expanded role. So instead of her, being a small character in the Suicide Squad movies, she's going to be the primary character in her own show. That's, You can set yourself up for an Emmy over there. Supergirl, major demand for a well done Supergirl movie, and if you give her a bit of an edge like they're talking about doing, again, major opportunity to do something different there. Batman Brave and the Bold, anything Batman is going to work. So it's like, just do that right. Introducing that correctly is key. So casting is key, story writing is key. So it's like, if you execute properly, especially with Batman the Brave and the Bold and Superman Legacy, if they execute properly, they could be set up for the next few years. So it's like, yes, we got to finish off Shazam and Aquaman and the Flash and all of that good stuff. But if we can knock it out of the park with this, we're solid. We are on our way. Like we have liftoff. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like Man of Steel dropped in 2012, and we never got a proper sequel for that. Like, think about it. You're on your third Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man has a whole trilogy. Ant-Man, one of Marvel's least known characters prior to the official Ant-Man debut in the MCU. One of their least known characters in Scott Lang as Ant-Man, even more obscure, and he has a full-fledged trilogy. Ben Affleck didn't get a Batman movie. We never got a Man of Steel sequel. You got 2 Wonder Woman movies. The second one was so bad they said absolutely not on the third. We're good. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you definitely got to do a lot better than that going forward. And people want you to do better. That's where your opportunity is. The fact that people still believe in this, the fact that people are still asking for this is your opportunity. That's opportunity knocking. You just have to execute. And I think if anybody understands that, it's James Gunn. So again, he still has to go out there and execute. He still has to go out there and prove it. But, and you're definitely going to be under a ton of scrutiny, especially after some of the shakeups you made at the start of, your takeover. But you have an opportunity. If nothing else, you have a perfect opportunity right here, right now, because Kang being introduced in the MCU, that's setting up. You got Secret Invasion about to kick off and set up over there. So it's like Marvel is going to be solid, but they're not it's like you're not starting that in the middle of like Infinity War and Endgame. So it's like you're not competing with that at any point in your history. I don't care what you release. It's like you're not competing with that right then and there. But it's like after Endgame, there's been plenty of opportunity. Those Disney Plus shows aren't the best thing ever. It's like those, kind of spotty. It's like a lot of people enjoy WandaVision. A lot of people enjoy Loki because of the setups for the bigger universe. But, it's been some questionable, writing decisions with a lot of those Disney Plus shows. Miss Marvel and She-Hulk is like, you kind of ended last year with a bit of a whimper. Like those shows had people talking. She-Hulk definitely had people talking, but it's like it wasn't a great show, like by any stretch of the imagination. So it's like, if DC can hit it out of the park with shows like Green Lanterns or The Lanterns and Amanda Waller, you're on your way, bro. The Authority, this sounds dope. Like, I'm interested in seeing what they got going on with this. I'm gonna do some research on this just to see what all they're bringing to the table. Like, look at this dude. Like, this has Rorschach / Batman written all over it, man. Like, Owlman, like, it's, come on. Like, this is kind of set up to do well, especially with, proper writing and execution. Another show is like you're tapping into the desire to see weird, obscure, lesser known comic book characters. Like this feels like Hellboy a little bit. You get what I'm saying? It's like I think they understand what kind of opportunity they have on their hands, and they're looking to cash in on it. She-Hulk was the best thing that happened in 2022, my guy. Hey, I won't take that from you. If that's the hill you want to die on, I will let you go up there and lay down. I will let you go on that hill and lay down. You won't convince me of that, but if that's what you want to believe, I will let you believe it. I already know. It's like, yeah, I already know. But yeah, it's like Loki was definitely my best show. Moon Knight got annoying with his other personalities. Moon Knight to me had one solid episode. Like everything else was like it's watchable at best, but it's like I feel like the biggest problem with the Disney Plus shows is we set up too much to cover in such a limited slot of episodes, and by the time we get to the finale, we were rushing just to wrap up all of this stuff we set up that we didn't have time to give proper finality to, and it's like that's not compelling writing for me. That's not compelling TV. I'm not looking forward to another season of any of this stuff if that's how you're going to handle it. So it's like, hey, the first episode or the first 3 episodes, we setting up a ton of stuff that we're going to breeze through because we only got 6 episodes. So it's like you might get one really good episode out of all of these series and a really rushed ending. And it's like, that's not really for me. Like WandaVision, I feel like those first 6 episodes were solid. Very solid. Episodes 3 through 6 were the highlight. Like that was the peak of the show, and then from there we just kind of started rushing through plot lines. I feel like some stuff could have been handled a little better writing wise. And Agatha Harkness, I understand people had a ton of fun with her character and demanded to see more, and I'm props to her, props to getting something as obscure as that off the ground and greenlit into a whole new project. But it did feel like Halloween Town, and it's like, is this really what we were setting up at the beginning of the show? Like, is this the tone we were going for to wrap this up? We got people, we in green screen land and stuff like that. It's like I just wanted something a little more grounded to some degree. A little, the stakes to be a little more tangible by the end of it. Just things like that. But the general public spoke loudly. They were like, hey, we really love WandaVision. We really love Loki. We really love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. At the very least, every show has a really good episode. And just solid production. Like the production is not the problem. It's just writing, just rushing the writing in different spots. All the Disney Plus shows were mid at best. I mean, Marvel What If was probably the most interesting project they did. I loved the way they handled Daredevil and She-Hulk. He clearly was the best episode, but She-Hulk, objectively, they had some okay things in the show, but the writing in the show overall, just you wrote it in a way to be clickbaity. Like you want people to talk about this stuff, you want people to hate it so they can talk about it. It's not really any real substance there, especially in that finale. It's like, bro, what are we doing? But it had people talking. It's not one of the greatest shows ever. It's not, you're not being talked about for great reasons, but, something that people was talking about. People were compelled to talk about She-Hulk for the entirety of his run. And, we may see a sequel, a second season or something. It's like, who knows? But like I said, my overall point is Marvel does not have a gridlock on the movie and TV game the way they did, 5 years ago. She-Hulk finale was bad. Yeah, it was horrible, bro. That was horrible, definitively. But like, if I had to choose between watching She-Hulk again or watching Ms. Marvel again, I'm watching She-Hulk again, 100%. Ms. Marvel just completely got boring. Like that got extremely boring after like the fourth episode. Like I just wasn't interested in anything. You don't have any compelling villains. Like for a TV show like that, it's like none of these shows, like the most compelling villain that was introduced was Kang, and he literally didn't do anything. He just monologued and told the audience about what's going to be happening in the future. So hey, there's multiple versions of me. There's a war going on, and if you kill me, you open the gateway for that kind of stuff to happen, and all of this good stuff. It was like, it's exciting to know that a big name villain is on the rise after we finish up with Thanos and everything. But it's like, as far as the show, as far as like the finale, like the climax of how many episodes that show had? Like 6 or 9 or something like that. It's like that didn't feel fulfilling. And I understand a lot of people complaining about that. I enjoyed Ms. Marvel all the way through, but I did enjoy She-Hulk more. Like, yeah, She-Hulk is like I said, I don't want to argue with nobody about She-Hulk because it definitely isn't worth it. But objectively, it's like I can watch She-Hulk before I can watch Ms. Marvel again. Like that's Miss Marvel is objectively probably the least interesting show that they put out on Disney Plus. I love the style of it. I love the production. I wasn't interested in any of the superhero aspects of it. Like when she's actually trying to be a superhero, I feel like that's when the show gets a little too chaotic and the writing is at its weakest. And then when with the whole villain subplot and stuff, it's like this isn't very well thought out, in any capacity. And it's like, all right, we I'm ready to move on. I'm all right. I'm okay on this. Her showing up in the Marvels, I'm looking forward to it, but what they had going on in the actual show is like this just isn't compelling stuff. But who's looking forward to Shazam too? It's like I feel like that's DC's biggest problem. Like I genuinely just don't care about Shazam too. It's like I'm not interested in it. I really don't care what's going on in that. I saw the first movie, and while it's not bad, or offensive or anything like that, I feel like it's a okay one-time watch. Just like Black Adam. Black Adam is a one-time watch. Like the Shazam, the first Shazam is a better movie than Black Adam, but Black Adam has some okay action. It's just I feel like they dumbed down the plot and the script a lot because The Rock was involved, and to think that you can kind of like he really thought he was going to strong arm his way into taking over the DC universe with a movie that's gonna be mid at best. It's like, right, bro. I appreciate the confidence, I guess, because that's crazy. That the confidence that he was walking around with off the strength of the Black Adam movie is crazy. Knowing that script was in that condition and still walking around with your chest out, like, hey, DC is ready to compete and do our own thing. Is like this not the movie to have that conversation behind, my man. Like no. At this point, you should be fighting to be a part of the DCU, not trying to take over it. Like, please let me have a spot. Put me on TV. Put me on HBO Max or something. Give me a spot in your future. Black Adam wasn't that bad. Like I said, it's a one-time watch. Like for me. So when I anytime I give my opinion on something, that's 100% for me. I don't speak for the general public. The general public, thought it was fine, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people got it on Blu-ray and everything. I'm okay with watching it the one time I saw it in the theater. It's like, nothing about your plot is worth me sitting through the whole, movie again. And it's like at this point, it's not many movies I watch, more than once. Like a lot of the Marvel movies are one-time watches for me. So it's like I don't go back and watch, stuff like Ant-Man often or many of those movies. I just don't watch them often. Outside of like some of the Phase 1 movies, some of the Phase 2 movies and things like that. But like I'm not watching Thor Ragnarok again. I've seen it more than once, but I watched it again just to see if I would feel any different about it because I wasn't really, big on that movie. Like I understand the praise. Production wise, it's an amazing movie. From a writing standpoint is like, nah, especially dealing with a story like Ragnarok. It's like you could have did a little better than that. What's good? One shot, one kill. We talking about the DC universe lineup that they got going on, and they got some crazy stuff to be excited about. And like I said, I'm happy for them. I'm really hoping that they do get in a position to where they can genuinely compete. Because it's like, rushing to get to the point where you can actually compete with the Marvel universe was a mistake. Like you cannot shortcut, your way to the top like that. Iron Man, it wasn't $1 billion movie, but that got them off the ground. Like that was enough to get them off the ground. People were excited for a sequel. People were excited at the premise of all of that stuff being connected. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff you need for your project. So give people something they can really be excited about and go forward from there. So it's like you didn't have to shoehorn Batman into Superman's movie and shoehorn Wonder Woman in there and then shoehorn, cameos and exposition about all these other heroes. And it's like, bro, relax. You're going to get there, bro. You showed up way too late to the party. It just doesn't work like that. Is the Batman and Robin project live action? Yeah, that's going to be a full-fledged movie. Batman Brave and the Bold is going to. So one, you getting the Matt Reeves Batman Part 2 that's coming out in October of 2025. Unless, they move up the time slate or move it back or something like that. and then you're getting Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is going to feature Damian Wayne as Robin, and that's interesting. Like that's very interesting. The DCU will introduce this Batman and Robin in this unusual father-son story inspired by Grant Morrison's comic series. So that's, like I said, I'm looking forward to that. That's you have my interest and intrigue. Like I'm very very interested in what you have going forward with this new universe. And again, it sounds like we have a better direction. So, pulling back on Batwoman or Batgirl, whatever that movie was going to be, and like, all right, well, let's save on budget for that, and let's go with Supergirl, who has a bit more of a name to her. Batwoman, Batgirl probably should have been on TV to begin with, and it's like, I get it. So it's like you scale back, and now we're refocusing. We're going all in on stuff that just seems to make sense on paper, because it's like, I feel like with stuff like this, when you're just starting over, you got to go for the easy wins when you can find them. So it's like, instead of trying to manipulate the market with bright ideas, just take the easy win. When you see an easy win, take the easy win. Batman Brave and the Bold, that's an easy win. Matt Reeves Batman Part 2, that's an easy win. Giving people both Green Lanterns and Hal Jordan and John Stewart, that's an easy win. That's what you need. And then you can explore, other things like this, like Booster Gold, the Creature Commandos, the Authority, Paradise Lost. You can do all of that other stuff on the side, as long as you got stuff like this in the pipeline. And it's like, I'm glad someone over there understands that now. I wasn't excited for Black Adam. I went to see it late. Like, I probably caught that like in this last week of being in theaters, just because. And it's like, I didn't have anything else to do. I think I went out to dinner or something like that. And it was like, I guess we can go sit through that movie. And it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And it's like, it's fine. It's not something I need to see again. And it wasn't something I needed to see opening night, because it's The Rock. Like, you know what you're getting from The Rock at this point, which is why I think a lot of people held off on having him, in these universes, because it's like, it's hard to see him as anything other than The Rock. So The Rock in Fast and the Furious is fine. You can throw The Rock in Bad Boys, and that's fine. You get what I'm saying? He looks perfect as Black Adam. He looks perfect, but it's like, that's kind of like cosplay at this point. I don't know. Like I said, trust me, I'm not the go-to man for the Black Adam stuff with The Rock and stuff. I see why stuff played out the way it did, but that's just me. This is interesting. The fact that they're still going forward with this is very interesting. I have no idea who you go with. I know Michael B. Jordan his name was attached to the project at some point, but I don't know. Who do you sign off on as the Black Superman for a side project? So an Elseworld movie or Elseworld, TV show or something like that. Who do you sign off on? Who gets the green light as the Black Superman for you guys? Or is that something you're interested in? We got one person who's not interested in that. But, we'll see. If they turn Damian into Nightwing, you'll see how DC people will riot. That's what makes it interesting, because I have to believe that, with you starting off with Damian as his Robin, the 3 prior Robins have to already be established to some degree. So I have to imagine that that Dick is out there running around as Nightwing already. You may set up for the Red Hood to come back, at some point in a future sequel or something like that. Tim Drake, is probably Red Robin at this point. So it's like, I'm interested to see where you go. If Damian is his absolute first Robin, is like, that would be shocking. I would be floored by that. Like, that's crazy. Dick Grayson is Nightwing, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, those are the kind of moves where it's like, don't see that. That's a bad, bright idea. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Those aren't the kind of bright ideas you need starting out. a superhero that gets his powers from the sun should be black. Yeah, a ton of people have said that. And that, I mean, like I said, I get the logic, but you know, I mean, you can take the concept of Superman and just do your own thing with that. Like, there's plenty of opportunity to do that. Like, I'm not really a fan of, repurposing legacy heroes, as someone else. So, like, when Miles Morales was first, introduced as a concept, I was like, I don't understand the need for that. Like, you literally have Spider-Man. I don't understand the need for it. But it's like, with the strength of writing for his stories and everything and his character development, you have effectively made him his own thing. So it's like, I would still prefer if he had a different legacy other than Spider-Man. So he has his own name or something like that. But I can accept him as Spider-Man. I've accepted Miles Morales as Spider-Man at this point, and I respect him as being a different Spider-Man. So he brings something completely different to the table than Peter Parker. But Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's the definitive Spider-Man, and that's not going to change in most people's mind. And Miles Morales is a different version of Spider-Man, and a lot of people are like, hey, well, I want him too, and I'll accept him too. And at this point, Miles Morales is a lot of people's favorite Spider-Man, and it's like, that's a credit to the writing, I guess. But me personally, is like, I don't need a black version of certain people and stuff. Just do something unique and creative. Spin-off like Hyperion is an interesting take on Superman, especially for Marvel. I know a lot of people equate Sentry as Marvel's Superman, but it's like Hyperion is a lot closer, especially in terms of story and some of his base powers. And it's like, that's fine. It's like, you're not Superman personality wise or legacy or anything like that, but it's like you're Superman adjacent. It's like, if you want to be adjacent to a legacy character, I get it, but it's like the Falcon being Captain America, but we also still want Captain America to be Captain America and stuff. It's like, what are we doing? Right? Like I said, I respect it. That's the choice you want to make, and that's the route you want to go. But it's like Robin, the legacy of Robin changing because people step in and out of the role, or people die, or one of the Robins taking up the mantle of Batman. That's different. That's different than some man who was inspired by Batman. So now I'm Batman, and it's like, but I'm the black Batman, or I'm the Dominican Batman. It's like, you could just do your own thing at this point. Just do your own thing, bro. Just go be your own man at that point. Like I wouldn't want Rorschach trying to be Batman. I appreciate Rorschach being his own thing. It's like, you're Batman adjacent, but you're your own thing, and it's like that. I feel like that always works a little better. I like to see a black Superman, but I will love a blue Marvel movie. Like I said, Marvel is crazy because as much as we've seen DC struggling, like they haven't, like I said, they haven't introduced a Superman sequel in over 10 years at this point, and Marvel didn't capitalize on that. It's like, I know you got Thor, but it's like, bro, you could have squeezed in a Hyperion movie or project or something like that, or just squeeze Hyperion into the MCU and really fill that void. Same with like Marvel games. It's like, you haven't had a Superman game on the market in years, and it's like, we just keep trying to do Iron Man and stuff like that over and over. It's like, bro, you can give people your own, you can push one of your smaller characters to the forefront and make this a household name if you execute it right. And it's like, that's a bright idea that I feel like should be pushed more to the forefront, because there's opportunity there. The world is always looking for a Superman, and we're clearly being underserved. And they're just now getting to a point where they're like, okay, we need to do something with Superman. And it's been how many years? You get what I'm saying? We got 11 years, and we're just now getting to the point where, the world wants another Superman. Because like, if this movie underperforms and they push the button on, all right, well, we got to shoehorn Batman into this, or put Superman on the background and push more Batman and stuff like that. It's like, well, that shows you didn't learn anything, bro. Like, we've learned nothing in the past 10 years, because that's what you did wrong the last time. Titans might be in this universe. I can see that. The guy who plays Nightwing is perfect. I feel like he's great casting as a older, more jaded Dick Grayson. But a lot of those other characters, like the guy who plays Superboy, I feel like he is great. The girl who plays Dana Troy, I feel like she's great. I feel like a lot of strong casting was made in that show, but I also feel like it's opportunity to just do something different, with some of those characters. So some of those characters rolling over into the DCU, I'm on board with. Recasting a lot of the other people is like I'm on board with that as well. Like the guy who plays the Flash on TV, calling him up to the big leagues just because fans would really be excited about that is like I don't know his acting chops as well. Yeah, Grant. I couldn't think of, I didn't want to throw the wrong stuff out there, but yeah, it's like calling him up to get the role of the DCU Flash. So it's like we in the Flash movie we get Paradox, and then in the Rebirth we get Grant Gustin as the new Flash, is the official Flash going forward. So this is our new official Barry Allen. That is a big win with fans. And again, if you execute it right, you give them the right costume and you give them just the right opportunity. You got great writing for him and all of that stuff. You're on your way, bro. Like I promise you, you're on your way. But it's like I don't know if they're thinking like that. I think they may be just like, oh, maybe we can still spin the Ezra Miller angle or something. I don't know. It's like I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's what you should be doing. But I'm not the big wig over at WB and DC. So whatever James Gunn is cooking over there, we just gotta wait till we can smell it. I prefer Blue Marvel over Hyperion personally. Yeah, a lot of people do. Like in a straight up fight, Blue Marvel probably 7 times out of 10 is going to beat Hyperion. But I like Hyperion. I'm a fan of Blue Marvel. I would take either one of them, or if not both of them, because it's like you have the opportunity there. Like if we can get the Eternals out there, it's like, bro, you can give us Hyperion or Blue Marvel or both. I feel like at this point we probably would end up with a Sentry movie or something, or a Sentry involved in the MCU before Hyperion, which I feel like that would unless you do something to really kind of straighten up his writing, because that's my biggest problem with the Sentry is like his writing is so convoluted and just silly. I don't want no parts of that. Like him and what's that guy from the X-Men? Phantom X, I think is his name. Is it Phantom X? No. Yeah, what is that guy's name? I feel like Phantom X is somebody from DC. I'm getting confused. The guy in the X-Men, white. He got like a white trench coat on, white and black face mask, or ski mask, and all of that stuff. What is his name? His writing super convoluted, super convoluted. Okay, I got it right. But yeah, it's like, I just can't take super convoluted writing seriously. So it's like Hyperion's writing is far above Sentry in terms of writing, but people wanting to see Sentry introduced in a universe where you kind of got played on the Hulk. Like they have not delivered with the Hulk in the MCU in terms of like what fans really wanted to see. Like he has some moments, he definitely has some moments. Like Avengers was probably the highlight of him at this point, because it's like when he got it cracking during the invasion, it's like that's one of the best moments, because it's like the fight between him and the Hulkbusters. Like I felt like that was a little too jokey. I didn't feel like it was taken as seriously as it should have been. Phantom X ain't nothing now but Professor X new legs. That whatever that means, that sounds crazy, bro. It's like that's typical for the writing. It's like what's going on, man? I'm a bit surprised that the Eternals weren't given more respect. To be honest, I would have thought that they would have been the next big bad. I mean, like I said, execution. It's like that project was a little weird. It was a little weird. Tony should have been within an inch of his life fighting the Hulk. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like if with the Hulk with no conscience or no filter in there, it's like he should have done a lot more damage than that, and it should have taken the full team to kind of bring him down. And I remember when that was supposed to be the main plot for the original Avengers story, where Loki controls Hulk, and he turns the Hulk against the team and stuff like that. It's like I probably would have wanted to see that a bit more than what we got, but at the same time, it's like that's definitely gonna chew that budget up, bro. Like that little bit of fight we got between him and Thor, I'm pretty sure chewed up a large part of the budget. So it's like I understand you got to scale things back in terms of what you can and can't do realistically, but writing is key. I'm glad that James Gunn was saying that during his presentation, like they're really focusing on the writing. King of the Hill revival. And Rick Flag and Weasel are reportedly part of the animated series Creature Commandos. That's interesting. There are reportedly half a dozen endings for The Flash that have been shown at various test screenings. They have yet to lock the ending. I feel like that's their way of kind of setting up people to not know what to expect. So you don't know what the hell you're going to see when you get into The Flash. Like, what's the ending going to be? So keeping people kind of on their toes a bit. Peter Safran and James Gunn left the door open for Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Zachary Levi to continue playing their respective DC roles of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, and Shazam, but Gunn reiterated that Henry Cavill will not continue as Superman. That has to suck, bro. Like, you to get singled out like that, like all of these other people, we may bring them back, or we're not sure. You're done. You're out. You're out of there. And it's like, that's tough. Everybody, the whole world knows that you're the only person that got fired, bro. Like, that's tough. As long as they stay true to the Lord, then I'm all in. And that's what he's saying is the focus. What makes sense. I'm a bit surprised that the Eternals. Okay, that's. You think Ant-Man is dying in his third film? I think Marvel knows how to market their movies to make them seem more serious than they're going to be, once you get into the actual movie. So it's like, I don't go into any Marvel movie expecting anybody to die with the exception of Infinity War. And even then, it's like they found a way to hold off on majority of the deaths until the end of the absolute end of the movie. I feel like a lot of the deaths would have been a lot more impactful if they died throughout the movie in different encounters with Thanos. So like when the Guardians fight Thanos on Nowhere, Drax and Mantis dying, I feel like that would have carried a lot more weight. Gamora gets kidnapped, so you got Peter, left alone. You get what I'm saying? Wrestling with losing some of his teammates and losing Gamora. It's like that's just more impactful writing, in my opinion. That Henry Cavill doesn't get love, but they keep Jason, Gal, and Ezra. It's weird. Like, they had a rumor going out that James Gunn just personally doesn't like Henry Cavill for whatever reason. No specific reasons have been given. That's, purely just a rumor at this point. But, like I said, it does seem weird that you kept everybody, especially this dude. The fact that the fact that Ezra Miller is still in the mix is crazy. That's crazy. But I don't know. We don't know what's going on over there. It just still seems like it's kind of murky. Like you can't see a clear path to the future with this project or what they're doing in general. Very much interested in seeing this. This is the only movie I'm still interested in seeing from the DCU right now, because this is the one that's going to have any stakes that matter. So this is going to set the tone going forward. This is going to let us know what some of the projects are going forward. And I'm still looking forward to it. They've shot themselves in the foot by keeping Ezra Miller attached to the project. But again, you can make that right if you walk Grant Gustin out at the end as the new Barry Allen for the DCU. That would win you over a lot of goodwill from the fans if you do something like that. But I mean, on the plus side, we got King of the Hill coming back. So, we got Bobby and Hank, Lady Bird, we good. Peggy, we got them all. We are good. But it's like this. Like I said, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to see where they're going with all of this stuff. I they've clearly made some very cryptic moves, and Henry Cavill being out solo as while everybody else is still, you know, possibly attached to future projects is weird. But you know, we have to trust that they're gonna make that make sense at some point in the future. But yeah, that looks like that seems to be the end of their major news run. Like I said, I was hanging out a bit trying to see what else creaks out. If anything else drops out, I'll probably cover it in a separate video or something later today. But you know, definitely appreciate you guys hanging out for a bit. Like I said, it was a super impromptu stream, my first stream of the week, just getting back into the flow of things. And I appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out. If you haven't already, you know, smashed that like, definitely helps. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.